So Ashton meets Demi Moore in 2003. He's 25 at the time, and she is a 41-year-old mother of 3 daughters, one of whom had a big crush on Ashton, had his posters on her wall. Per People magazine in May 2003, the couple, meaning Ashton and Demi, were seen on a double date with Sean P. Diddy Combs, that's what he went by then, and Kim Porter in Miami. Kim Porter, mother of 3 of Combs's children. A witness told People that Moore and Kutcher shared a, quote, very romantic kiss as they left the restaurant. Do you know who else died at a very young age? Kim Porter. She died suddenly on November 15th, 2018 in Toluca Lake, California. This was a sudden death. When this hit the news, people were shocked. The cause of Kim Porter's death, as ruled by the coroner? Pneumonia. Now, according to the statistical probability that Sean Combs would know 3 people close to him or in his immediate circle at young ages who would die of pneumonia, according to the most recent report by the Centers for Disease Control that we could find, dated 2023, 41.2 people die of pneumonia every year in the United States. That is 12.3 per 100,000 people. What are the odds? What are the odds that Sean Combs would have connections to 3 people who died relatively young of pneumonia? We heard all throughout the Sean Combs trial in 2025 how often he threatened to kill people, how many people were terrified that he would kill them, the beatings he subjected Cassie to. He blew up Kid Cudi's car. We all know it, okay? We all know it. Back to Ashton and Demi. This is all going to Ashton's character, okay? What a piece of shit this guy is. She gets pregnant a year or 2 into their relationship. Her timeline remains unclear, but she lost the baby, a girl she says that they had planned to name Chaplain Ray. At 6 months, by her own account in her memoir, Inside Out, Demi had begun drinking again, and she blamed herself. But she also says in her memoir, and I read her memoir when it came out, it's a really, really, really good memoir. She says that Ashton had pressured her to drink. Per People magazine, November 6th, 2019. And I quote from this article, Moore said that she and Kutcher took a trip together following the miscarriage and that they allegedly had a conversation. Allegedly, that's People magazine protecting themselves. My opinion, had a conversation about alcoholism during dinner. Quote from the book. Oh, this is what Moore claims. Ashton said, quote, I don't know if alcoholism's a thing. I think it's about moderation, Moore claimed. Then Moore says of herself, if I had stayed close to working my program, I, of course, lived the majority of my adult life sober. I was great sober. A rep for Kutcher did not immediately respond to People's request for comment. No kidding. Here is an interview Demi did with Ellen DeGeneres during that Fall 29 promotional tour for her book, Inside Out. Here we go.
But you talk about that he was not faithful to you, that he had affairs, and then you talk about that he kind of instigated you having threesomes.
And I don't think it should be implied that he instigated. I think it was, and again, in trying to keep the perspective on my story, he expressed something that was of a fantasy, and it was in my efforts to want to please and be what I thought he wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
So you just, and even though the infidelity and even though these things that you loved him, you wanted to keep the relationship going, and you just tried to keep it going in that way.
Yeah, I think that is it.
Right.
I think, it was a misguided sense of not really wanting to look maybe at the harder question, right, or maybe the what was really missing, or in my case, because I really felt like I had created an addiction to him, mm-hmm, that I was that my codependency in a way I'd never had before. I'd mm-hmm. never had that kind of attachment.
Ashton Kutcher was a younger guy who was still kind of on the come up, and Demi Moore was Hollywood royalty and far more experienced And he, once the power imbalance shifted, once he sensed that, my opinion, I read Demi's book. And if I recall correctly, because her recollections of this are very vivid in the book, he was pressuring her into threesomes. It was kind of the cost of doing business. You want to stay in this relationship? That's the cost of doing business. He cheated on her a fair amount, and she swallowed it, and she took it, and she let it go because she was addicted to him, as she said. And that is a coward's way of trying to get out of a relationship that they no longer want to be in, by cheating rampantly, by insisting on threesomes, and by treating her like absolute shit. By the way, her equivocating there in the Ellen interview says to me, again, just my opinion, that lawyers were called. His lawyers called her lawyers and said, hey, you got to walk some of this shit back. That's not my client's recollection of what happened. That may be in your memoir, but you better walk some of this back. In 2018, just my opinion, this is a fact. Ashton was caught cheating, according to published reports, with a 21-year-old he met in a bowling alley. You want to talk about humiliating your superstar wife? You cheat with a 21-year-old you meet in a bowling alley. Where do you think they're actually having sex? It's like the bathroom or his car, okay? Then, just my opinion, then the night before their wedding anniversary, and if you're not watching, I'll read the headlines, you'll hear Diane Sawyer asking Demi how she found out, along with the rest of us, that Ashton was cheating on Demi on their anniversary.
And Ashton was handling his grief in a very different way.
Ashton Kutcher caught cheating the night before his and Demi's
with two
wedding
girls in a
anniversary.
hot tub on anniversary.
Yes.
What did you say to him?
I asked if it was true, and he admitted it right away.
So she says she found out via Google alert with the rest of us. And then she called him and she said, is this true? And right away he said, yeah. He didn't even try to hide it. He just wanted to humiliate her. When was the last time you truly trusted the seafood that you brought home? The nutrition, the taste, the sustainability. Introducing Wild Alaskan Company. Their seafood is 100% wild caught, never farmed, which means no antibiotics, GMOs, or additives, just clean, nutrient-rich fish that supports healthy oceans and fishing communities. Wild Alaskan Company delivers perfectly portioned, wild-caught seafood straight to your door. The fish is frozen right off the boat to lock in flavor, texture, and nutrients like omega-3s. Every order supports sustainable harvesting practices, and their flexible membership includes expert tips and feel-good seafood. My personal favorite is the wild sockeye salmon. It's rich, buttery, and incredibly fresh. And the best part, you can try it risk-free. If you're not completely satisfied with your first box, Wild Alaskan Company offers a 100% money-back guarantee, no questions asked, just high-quality seafood that you can feel good about. Not all fish are the same. Get seafood you can trust. Go to wildalaskan.com/nerve for $35 off your first box of premium wild-caught seafood. That's wildalaskan.com/nerve for $35 off your first order. And thanks to Wild Alaskan Company for sponsoring this episode.